Hey everyone, welcome back to another live stream. So we're gonna try to see if we can finish off Crimson Gray. I'm not really sure how long this game is, honestly, so I have no idea. A lot of people was like 3 hours later. Yeah, totally. I don't know, but yeah, sorry I took so long. I was trying to get a sandwich so I can eat something while I'm doing this because I didn't eat anything yet, so I'm like, ugh. But yeah, we're just gonna start because, you know, why not? Hope everyone's doing well. So, and if I pronounce stuff, I don't know. If I don't pronounce stuff correctly, yeah, you can just scold me about it. All right, so last time I believe we found our heroes or our main characters at a university that they're trying to hide from Koitek, and apparently one of the Koitek speakers or whatever is going to visit the campus because her boyfriend, or I forgot his name already, John or something like that, his friend invited or petitioned for the speaker to come to their university to speak, and now she's very nervous about the whole thing, so, and she's paranoid about John's friends, so I guess that's where we are right now. So yeah. Really? It has 8 different endings? I had no idea. Yeah, I got a ham sandwich with spinach and mozzarella cheese. Ooh, it's really good. So if I mumble a little bit, then it's because I'm eating a sandwich. Alright, so let's begin. When her schedule went unusually well, Lizzie found herself actually somewhat troubled. She had no reading for classes, the shopping had gone quickly, and nothing had slowed her down. That meant that she had a surprising amount of time on the one night John needed to work late at the library. For a little while, she busied herself tidying up the house and cleaning her knives. Oh yeah, because, you know, that's a normal thing to do. But she found herself anxious. It was no serious premonition, just an uncomfortable feeling. She was glad to have him in her mind, and she was sure she would soon find his song again. But she also wanted him in the flesh. She spent a while writing in her notebook, many of its pages now heavy with ink, mostly plans for worst-case scenarios. If something happened during Francisca's visit and she needed to protect John. But that couldn't hold her attention for long. This was a bad night to be home alone. After chewing on one knuckle for a while, you'd think that would kinda hurt, but I guess not. Lizzie decided that she should just go visit John at the library. She padded across campus, noting how different it was at night. The normal dorms were still bright, and it would become progressively louder as students started to party. If you were ambling further, likely drunk or stoned. Because, you know, that's your typical college here in the US, I guess. They had been invited a time or two, but for the most part, she and John didn't have connections to those crowds. Being together and off campus, even just slightly off campus, set them apart from other students. Normally, Lizzie never gave the subject a second thought. Now, she found herself resenting their happiness, all of them wasting their time so carelessly while he was working alone and probably depressed. If she urged him to take fewer shifts, he would. Lizzie knew that. But as much as she wanted more of him, she didn't want to unfairly force him to do that. If John thought the extra work was necessary, then he was probably right. For some reason, I can't say that right now. Yeah, I've heard of Black Clover. Everyone keeps recommending me that, and yeah, I'm probably gonna watch it eventually when I have time. Still, Lizzie's eyes briefly flickered to a couple sprawled over one another in the grass, neither a threat. They were pulling out their clothes, though, and well past the point of just making out. Who does that? Come on. Before they finished college, she wanted a moment like that. Not doing something like that in public, of course not. but simply being together by the trees enjoying themselves. College should be a time of happy memories, light years between the drama of their meeting and the difficulties of adulthood. She wanted something she could remember forever, maybe capture it in a picture, yet right now everything was so complicated. Lizzie frowned and looked away, increasing her pace. It wasn't fair. The library itself was basically deserted, since few were doing research on a Friday night. That was why John ended up with a long shift, and why he took it, getting paid to do his own work. Lizzie found herself shifting to walk silently instead of giving any sign of her presence. This could be a good opportunity to observe him without him being aware. It had been the first way that she had come to love him, and though the other ways since coming to know him were better, watching still held a special place in her heart. Okay, I just have to say that this is a run-on sentence, and it's kind of weird how the person wrote this, but whatever. She peered around a bookshelf and finally spotted him. John sat behind the desk, reading from one of his books. He was making decent progress, brow frowned in that concentrated look that she so loved. But occasionally, his focus seemed to waver. She noticed his eyes grew a little distant, and he had to backtrack on the page. Sometimes when he did, he would look at a sheet of paper beside him for a while, occasionally make a note. Were they just his notes? But she knew John's note-taking habits extremely well, and that wasn't how he usually operated. It was as if he was trying to read, but simultaneously distracted by thoughts of something else. What could it possibly be? Her mind imagined that it was some kind of love letter, but she discarded that possibility as quickly as she could. No, John wouldn't do that. If he wrote a love letter, it would be for her. He looked so sad, though. Lizzie started as if her gaze could strip away his skill and reveal every thought inside. If she just understood him perfectly, she could prevent him from being sad. There would be no anxiety then, only perfect trust for one another. Lizzie retreated further in the library, just in case he looked up in her direction and watched him from a vantage point even he wouldn't notice. He did glance up a few times, almost as if he felt her watching, but she was too well hidden. It was wonderful that he could almost sense her, but Lizzie needed to watch him for now. Eventually she would understand. Wait, you mean eventually he would understand? Eventually she would understand. This makes sense, but whatever. Hours passed in a flash, and suddenly John was standing and yawning. After so long of his stillness, it was almost startling. Apparently his shift was almost over, which meant he would need to lock up. Deciding that she had watched enough, Lizzie sneaked through the back stacks and approached from the near entrance again, beaming. John smiled the instant he saw her. "Oh, Lizzie, I hope you weren't lonely." "I just wanted to come greet you once your shift was over." "You're a sight for sore eyes. After this dead shift, just give me a moment to lock up." It didn't take him long, and then they were walking across campus to head back home. Her arm, though, his and her head leaning against his shoulder. Wait, wasn't it like nighttime? How the heck did it suddenly became like, unless he's like stood up all day? Do they keep the library open that late? I have no idea. They passed the couple, now lying still on top of one another. John seemed a little surprised, but just shook his head. Lizzie inclined her head toward him, then looked back at him and raised her eyebrow. Yeah, it was night. I guess the guy forgot to put the nighttime background. "Sorry, I can barely keep my eyes open." "That's okay. I know you're studied hard. Let me help you rest." When they got home, she quickly took his bag from him and put it away before he could get in trouble. If she acted quickly enough, he wouldn't need to use any more energy to make decisions and could just relax. Eventually, he fell asleep with his head on her lap, finally looking truly at peace. Lizzie stroked his hair and stared down at him, watching. Life proceeded normally enough. A significant part of campus was busy preparing for the arrival, but there were even more people who didn't know or didn't care. But it mattered to John, so it mattered to Lizzie. Though she tried to take on most of the work herself, John still wanted to get involved and had been assisting in indirect ways. She did her best to take on the majority of work to ease his stress, though. But when she came home from class one day, she realized that she might have gotten it entirely wrong. John slumped on the couch, too unfocused to notice her. There was an emptiness in his eyes that she hadn't seen in some time, immediately making her heart hammer in her chest. "John, are you okay? Is something wrong?" "I'm just a little tired. There's not a problem or anything." Yeah, that didn't give it away. "Of course there's a problem if you're not feeling okay." You don't have to pretend to smile for me, John. It's okay to be sad sometimes." Thank you, Lizzie. It's nothing specific. I'm just having a bad day." "Then stay right there and don't worry about anything." She skipped closer and gave him a quick hugging kiss, but didn't try to press. Instead, she moved on to the kitchen, getting something simmering. When John was depressed, he didn't want to eat. She had learned that trying to force it could turn bad, but the smell would slowly get through to him. While doing her work, Lizzie headed into her bathroom and counted his depression medication. It didn't seem like he had forgotten or that he had taken more than usual, which was good. But though his medication helped, it couldn't make his life perfect. There had been a time when she had desperately hoped that she could do that. She still wished that she could, but she knew that his sadness didn't mean that he didn't love her. All she could do was be supportive. When she came back out, he had slumped back further, but she saw a bit more relaxation in his posture. Suddenly, her heart ached with love for him so intense that she had to support him herself on the doorframe. She didn't deserve him. He was always so supportive, so kind, even when it cost him. It was easy to just back in his presence, to see him as a shining paragon. But her John was human, had limited resources. If she had missed the signs, as she sometimes did, one of Lizzie's fingers slid up into her mouth and she started to bite down on it, but she pulled back. John wouldn't want her to do that. Instead, she moved into the room, determined to give back this time. She checked on the soup, then went to sit beside him, just touching his side a little, being present without demanding anything of him. John smiled at her, but didn't say anything. It was quite a smile that faded into sadness. But she loved it too. These incidents always magnified her love for him. She didn't love his depression, but when he was like this, he seemed so truly real that she couldn't take her eyes off of him. Lizzie restrained herself and just sat supportively. After a time, though, she shifted. Later on, maybe they could eat, but until then. "Do you need to talk about anything?" "I'll be okay. I think I just overextended myself preparing for Kelsey's visit." "I can do more to help. You shouldn't feel obligated to help if you're feeling bad." "That's kind of you, but I think you're already taking on too much. You don't need to carry everything. I can do some too." Lizzie wanted to tell him that it wasn't like that at all, that she loved helping him, but she couldn't help but put words together. Her instincts might lead her to say something bad, but analyzing her words took her to a very cold place that she didn't want to use with him. Yet she was already getting pulled into analysis of two things competing drives. Those two competing drives. Oof. Lizzie realized that she needed to get out of her head. If she let herself keep thinking that way, she would end up spending the evening developing elaborate plans to kill someone or kidnap John to safety. Where would you take John? Jesus Christ, dude. Calm yourself. Will you... Maskurito J, will you ever play games with fans? Yeah, I actually have played games with fans. Like, what kind of games are you talking about? She needed to do something. But what? Be quietly supportive. Talk about issues. I feel like she would gain more, you know, emotional support if she talked about the issues. Because, you know, being open to your lover is always a good thing. Let's see. Talk about the issues or be quietly supportive. I think we should talk about the issues here. I think that will take us to a good ending. I think Lizzie is the main character in this game because this is from her perspective, so it's inherently her game. Last time it was John's, but not anymore. That's why you don't see Lizzie. Lizzie wanted to be supportive, but she knew she couldn't help him if she let herself grow unstable. So she hesitantly began to talk, letting him know about her insecurities. Though John didn't have much energy to spare, he did his best to listen. But as things went on, Lizzie began to tell that he was growing more depressed. She wished she'd decided differently, but it was too late. They stopped talking after a while and just held each other on the couch, drifting closer to sleep as exhaustion claimed them. As she fell asleep, Lizzie settled on another thought. This visit might be a good thing, but she would be very glad when it was over. Yeah, John has depression, so... When the day finally came, it wasn't as grand as all the build-up had led Lizzie to expect. It was just another speaker coming to campus, after all, and as one of the better universities in the region, they got plenty of speakers. The growing power of pharmaceuticals was a somewhat hot topic, but it was hardly a source of celebrity. Her expectations had been tempered by John's attitude, though. Aaron and some of the other organizers were exhilarated, as if a visit from a guest speaker would change everything, but as usual, he was more reserved. He was more reserved. It was one of the things that made his love for her so special, and she loved it as part of him. The low-key nature of the entire thing did a lot to calm her anxiety, though Lizzie had filled many pages of her notebook with plans in the event of an attack. But given that this was one stop on a long speaking tour, it seemed less likely that Koitek would actually try something. They were headed out to attend soon, and though it was going to be as casual as most events on campus, Lizzie had dressed up a little out of habit. She lingered by the cabinet, trying to select which weapons to take along with her. Wow, you would think they would have like some kind of security, right? But guess not. The problem was that she had rooms for so few. Her axe, of course, but the knives were always a problem. Ready to go, Lizzie? Almost, John. Just let me pick a knife and I'll be with you. He leaned against the nearby wall, watching her thoughtfully as she chose. After a moment, he spoke slowly. I'm just wondering, would you be happy if Kelsey managed to destroy Koitek somehow? Of course, it's a terrible company. It gave you that awful drug and it tried to take us apart. But she isn't going to destroy it, just regulate it. Maybe things will get better, but I want revenge. I meant destroy it in a metaphorical sense. Dismantling the corporation. You're more thinking leveling it to the ground? Oof, hold on. Blood and flames. Lizzie answered happily and finally picked a slender knife. A good balance of range, heavy enough to be durable, but thin enough to augment her axe with stabbing potential. She set it into its place and turned to him. But I don't mind things like this. Anything that works against them is good, and though I don't want you to hurt yourself, I'm happy that you care about this so much. But if there was some way to leave them intact but ensure they never bothered us again. I'd take it, of course. You're the most important thing. She leaned forward to give him a kiss, letting this one linger. It might be their last until the serious event was over, so she wanted to enjoy it. Not that she minded waiting. It made the next kiss when they come together again all the sweeter. I just wanted to say that you're the most important thing to me too. Sorry if I seem preoccupied by all of this. No, it's fine. I like to see you focus on things you love. Well, I don't take you for granted. I hope I never do. Aw, John, if you keep talking like that, we won't make it to the event. He chuckled and offered her his arm, which she gladly accepted. They headed out to the hall to hear the speech. They arrived and found the hall surprisingly full, almost enough to make her wish they'd arrived earlier, but it would be fine. Aaron waved to them near the front, but those seats were already full, so they took ones near the back. It's good to see our work wasn't wasted, at least. Lots of people seem to be interested. Lots of people from the community, too. Doesn't surprise me. Koitek might not have any indirect presence here, but they manufacture so many drugs people have to know about them. Lizzie reached out to hold his hand while they waited for things to get started. He took it and chatted casually with her until it was finally time. After some awkward testing at the mic and squeal of feedback, the dean managed to quiet people down. Though he gave an introduction to Franziska Kelsey, Lizzie wasn't able to focus on it. She already knew the information. It was essentially just a formality anyway. More importantly, Lizzie looked for a woman herself and found her seated near the front. She looked like her pictures. Nothing out of the ordinary, but Lizzie shifted her gaze between her and the exits just to be sure. When Franziska Kelsey took the stage, Lizzie surreptitiously shot a glance at John. But she had been wrong to worry. He had shifted to his purely focused mode, interested only in what she had to say. Okay, so I have no idea what kind of accent she has, so I'm just gonna give her like a British accent, maybe. I don't know. So I guess I'll try my best. I don't know. On my no, that's so horrible. On my first day of work at the FDCA, my supervisor said I should look for another job because the organization wouldn't be needed for long. She was a good speaker, though her speech had the feeling of one that had been repeated a huge number of times. It had an air of authenticity, but it was a practiced authenticity. Lizzie could only focus on it in the background anyway. While listening idly, Lizzie came to a realization, something she never said to John, probably something she should discuss with him. She squirmed a little in her seat, wondering the thoughts he might have about it, but she couldn't interrupt. Some people might have said that Koitek created her with their ill-advised experiment with when Abby was pregnant. Lizzie had never felt that way, until now, had not reflected on that fact. Now she understood why. The experiment might have made her different from other girls, but Lizzie didn't care about that. What mattered to her was the person she was now, shaped by her years growing up, and most importantly, shaped by John. Her world had felt so hollow and empty, and then when she had found him, she had been monomaniacally in her focus on him. But he had opened up a new world of possibilities for her. Unable to contain herself, Lizzie leaned over and kissed John on the cheek. He blinked in surprise and then smiled at her, resting her head against his shoulder. Lizzie let her focus drift back to the speech for a moment. The industry lobbyist would have you believe that their self-regulation has been and will continue to be effective. The primary example that is always brought up is how thalidomide was kept out of the United States, and so many children were spared birth defects. I have no idea how do you say these medical terms, but whatever. But as I demonstrate thoroughly in my book, this was a more quirk of a fate than self-regulation, and that thin layer of defense will not be remotely adequate given the massive increase in research and development we've seen over the past 2 decades. But most notably, many of the newest drugs have produced treat conditions that are fundamentally subjective. Their consequences, if any, will take years to emerge and may not always be as clearly defined as birth defects. Make no mistakes, there are people alive today bearing the scars of this unchecked research. Sooner or later, they will come forward. Lizzie sat tensely, deciding to hold her concerns over the development, but John had already considered that. He squeezed her hand and bent over to whisper to her. "Are you alright?" "John, would you want me to step forward and do that?" "No." His answer came immediately. Lizzie was a little surprised, and John seemed to have taken himself aback, but a moment later he smiled. "No. You matter more to me than all of this. Anyone who stepped forward would be surrounded by a horrible amount of controversy. I want you here with me." Her smile widened, and Lizzie leaned in to kiss him, tears in her eyes. She had so many things she wanted to say to him, but some people around them were already glaring at their whispering. When the two of them kissed, most of the glares rolled their eyes and turned away. The speech ended with Francisca's usual conclusion. The FTCA, with toothless compared to the pharmaceutical giants, and the world needed a far more comprehensive set of regulations. Part of Lizzie's mind acknowledged that as true, but it seemed a very distinct and clinical thought compared to the warmth inside her. After the speech, the floor was open to questions, which drew their attention away from each other. This was part of John was almost interested in, after all, and Lizzie agreed with him that they were more likely to hear new information during that part. The first person to get the mic asked a boring generic question about what students could do in the face of giant companies. She also had a flirtatious walk, so Lizzie scrawled at her for both reasons. Soon, though, Aaron was at the mic to ask a question. "You covered the potential impact on the United States well, but only spoke in vague terms about the need for international regulations. What impact do you expect the rise of pharmaceutical giants to have on the global south?" It was a question Lizzie hadn't really given much thought. She reflected that Aaron was always caring about impoverished and disadvantaged people. That was not a trait Lizzie shared, but looking at it objectively, she decided that it was a good form of kindness. She appreciated kindness in John, so she would give Aaron some credit as well. Outside of her mind, Francisca paused only for a moment before answering. Her response was smooth, but it lacked the practiced air of her speech. "Any large corporation is going to have a global impact, of course, and we'll see it especially in the rainforests in the mineral-rich countries. Needless to say, those relationships will be exploitive. But I think we should be most suspicious of the actions that actually seem most benevolent, specifically the ostensibly altruistic donations of drugs to various countries for free or produced at cost. For example, I have long believed that what's SAZ? C's? I think it was C's. SAZ or something like that. I don't know how to say it. Inc. is distributing insignificantly tested drugs and effectively using the supposed beneficiaries of their donations as test subjects. But there can be serious concerns even for well-intended attempts, such as a mental stimulus Meninger AG donated in sub-Saharan Africa. Wait, Meninger? So, I don't know. They have positive impact on test scores, yes, but those drugs have serious long-term side effects when not taken according to rigid schedule. Given the reality of the situation, both financial and personal, many recipients simply won't follow or even have a chance to follow a proper course. We'll be seeing the consequences of that for years. A decent question, if not one that held particular interest for her. Lizzie listened to a few more bad questions before she sensed a general movement in John's body and realized that he was getting up to ask questions of his own. She nodded to him and let go of his hand. She listened in irritation as others asked questions, but finally it was his turn. He cleared his throat nervously, but wasn't so uncomfortable as he might have been before. For those of us who want to have a career in this field, where do you think we can make the most difference? What balance do you see between regulating from the outside and trying to change organizations from within? Not a bad question, though. Lizzie found herself wondering just how much it mirrored his thought process. He had discussed his thoughts about the future with her, of course, but there was something different about hearing him state them out loud in front of so many people. A good question, but a difficult one. I'd like to believe that the best answer is the FTCA or another regulatory body, but I'm not sure I'd recommend something who hasn't started the career go that direction. We'll see what happens with our lobbying over the next few years. As for reforming from within, I'm tempted to say that's impossible. Look at SoftSynth. It carried the Japanese economy for a time, but now internal conflict is threatening long-term deflation. In my mind, the biggest threat is that corporations will lack meaningful competition and make it effectively impossible for anyone to regulate them. So honestly, what we might need more than anyone is business majors. That got a laugh from the audience, but it struck Lizzie as a serious question. John pondered it as well, his eyes contemplative as he returned to his seat beside her. Lizzie was dying to know his thoughts, but for now she smiled as he sat down right beside her. None of the questions after that were particularly notable. Lizzie began to get nervous as their time ran out, since if something bad were to happen, it would likely happen toward the end. Yet it ended without incident, as had every anxious situation in the years since the battle with Koitek operatives, but she was only slowly beginning to relax. If all those events had gone smoothly, maybe their wedding would as well. And if that was true, then what were they waiting for? Lizzie gazed toward John as they headed out, pondering the thought. But there were so many things they were dealing with, so many considerations, so many thoughts, and it was just wonderful. And it was wonderful just being with him. There was no need to rush. Setting the matter aside, Lizzie happily just discussed the speech with John as they headed home. There would be discussion groups, but the only person she wanted in her group was him. They talked late into the night and happily fell asleep, still in their clothes. Whew, that was long text. My freaking throat is like, I'm gonna save real quick. Yes. Gotta take another bite of my sandwich. So what do you guys think of it so far? I think it's pretty interesting. They're talking more about the company that designed the medication that drove her insane in the first game. So that's pretty interesting. I don't think they ever went in depth with her background story in like the first game, because it was from John's perspective. So I don't know. It's a pretty interesting story so far. It doesn't seem. I thought that something would have happened in the conference thing with the Francisca or whatever, Kelsey, Francisca, whatever. But I guess nothing happens. So I don't know. Feels like I'm kind of boring right now because the game doesn't really have a lot of things going on. Like the previous game had a lot of stuff going on because of how crazy she was, but now that she's a part of his life, it's kind of weird. I don't know. It's like one of those animes, like or those mangas that after you get past the high school arc of the thing, and they slowly transition into the college aspect of it. there's like not really any more interesting plot points you can add, except if you add like an antagonist, like a rival or some sort that's trying to get into John's pants or something like that. But yeah, Cubbin, yeah, I've noticed you. Do I know Boss Kawar? No, I don't not. Doesn't seem like a lot of people are. Oh. Sorry, I'm kind of eating right now while I'm streaming. It's kind of weird. It's whatever. All right. When's the next Yandere story coming out? Well, I'm working on the script right now, so you gotta wait. Hopefully, I can release part 2 and 3 at the same time. So by the end of October, hopefully, I will have the whole thing done. In the middle of a boring psychology class, Lizzie partially listened to the lecture while she worked on her notebook. She was drawing lots of pictures of John now, and getting a little better at it. Sometimes her focus drifted, though, and she found herself writing his name over and over again. Ha! ASMR while eating and drinking. Yeah, totally. I'm totally drinking. Now that the event was past, most of her immediate fears had been put to rest, at least temporarily. If Koitek wasn't likely to be tracking them, then she had more options. Maybe they could get married after all. If so, she was disappointed that she'd made them wait so long. But how to get to that point? Though she didn't worry about making John afraid of her, she didn't want to add any stress to his life by seeming too insistent. And yet it had to be perfect. Their wedding would be another treasured memory of their lives together that she wanted to carry around with her forever. A small part of her did worry that he was putting it off for some reason of his own. She couldn't doubt that he was fully committed to her, but there was a difference between living together and actually getting married. The professor said something that drew some of her attention away from what really mattered. The list sounded like it would be on the exam, and he did like to include things that were lecture only to catch sleeping students. Lizzie quickly scribbled it down to memorize later, irritated at the distraction. The only reason she was even in the class was that she needed the credit to graduate. At first, Lizzie had actually been interested, wondering if she could learn anything about depression that would help her to be a better partner to John. But mostly, the class was just useless. Yeah, just like every single useless college course right now. Because, you know, liberal arts, yeah, that's totally useful. That was sarcasm, by the way. Everything was focused on specific patterns of thought and declaring them to be unnatural when they didn't seem to any stranger than the way most people thought, at least not to her. Trying to engage with it mentally just irritated her. And what they said about depression just made her angry. They talked about depression like it was a simple problem that would soon be cured. The professor was even a fan of Koitek. Lizzie was certain that if he had his way, they'd take away her John and replace him with a different person. Why would they do that? That's just weird. Like, why would you want to replace someone's person? Without realizing it, her writing in the notebook had become sketchy and angry. Lizzie refocused and tried to draw him again. The way he looked when he came through sadness and showed her that quiet happiness deep within his eyes. When the lecture ended, Lizzie wasn't quite there, so she bit her lip and tried to finish quickly. No one usually paid her any mind. She could finish and leave herself in a good place. Holy shit. Lizzie reacted instantly at the voice over her shoulder, slamming her notebook closed with one hand and reaching down for her axe with the other. She restrained herself from acting, instead focusing up on the girl beside her. That is some serial killer shit right there. Oof. Did she see her notebook? I don't think my personal drawings are any of your business. It's everybody's problem if you're stalking some random guy. Lizzie forced herself to smile, not to mess anything up for him. Her body trembled just slightly as she put her notebook away and rose to her feet calmly. That isn't some random guy. It's my boyfriend. And does he know you keep a stalker journal? No, but that was beside the point. She didn't understand. She didn't understand at all. She was insulting the relationship. Lizzie evaluated her quickly. No physical threat, no capability to put up any resistance. Oof, I can't fake anything. I don't want to kill her. That's bad. You can't kill somebody in the middle of class. Come on, dude. Be gone, fucks. For a moment, her will coalesced, and Lizzie was utterly certain that she needed to kill this girl. Her fingers twitched, preparing. Oof. Should I kill her, guys? I need to put a poll. Can I put a poll on here? I don't know if I can. Should I kill her, guys? Should I? I'm gonna wait a couple seconds. Okay, a lot of people say to leave the thought alive. Only 2 people say, or 3 people say to leave her alive. Leave the thought, and I repeat, thought, big titty thought alive. All right, we're gonna leave her alive because we can't let little Johnny boy be depressed anymore than he already is. Lizzie took a deep breath, trying to focus on memories of John. It seemed so irrational to leave this girl alive, but she focused on him and pushed her way through. Barely. It took a supreme effort of will for Lizzie to hide her near outburst. The stupid girl hadn't noticed, but John would have and answered calmly. I don't think it's your place to meddle with our relationship. Yeah, no, this is just like what we were talking about last week. Either he doesn't know and you're creepy as hell, or he does and you have some kind of weird codependent relationship. If you can't see, you need help. You need someone to help you. You shouldn't say things like that. Look, I'm just applying what we learned. John is a kind person. He wouldn't judge me like you do. Then he's just enabling your condition. Lizzie took a deep breath and took a moment to think. Ooh, wow, that's a lot of options. Can I save this game? God damn it. Come on, game. How do I go back? Oof, yes, I can. I am saving it right here so I can return to it later when I want to pick something else. Slit her throat immediately. Ooh, that's a good option, guys. Remove her fingers and feed them to her. Befriend her until an opportunity for extensive torture. End the conversation quickly. End the conversation quickly and acquire napalm. What the fuck is napalm? Bury her alive. Oof. End the conversation and tell John about it. Strangle her with her own intestines. Remove her cleanly and dispose of the body. End the conversation. Remove her fingers and feed them to her. Jesus Christ, you guys are fucking brutal. Those who wants to feed her her own fingers, type in please boss. Here, let me type it out for you guys. PLSB0SS. If you want me to feed her her fingers, type that in right now. I'll count how many of them are. And yeah. Please boss. Hey boss. Oh shit. Okay, we got 4 people. 4 people asking. 5 people. 6 people asking to feed her her own fingers. Awesome. Let's do some torture stuff. Oof. Oof. Okay, we're gonna remove her fingers and feed them to her. Memories of John floated into her mind, bringing her a peaceful calm. Lizzie gave the girl a gentle smile. I'm pretty sure this is like one of the endings. I am pretty sure. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I really don't think it's your place to judge our relationship. But I'm going to get on with my life now. You get on with yours. Lizzie gave her another smile and departed as swiftly as possible, a skip in her stop. Hey, nothing happened. Come on. What? There was no question that the girl needed to be disposed of. The only question was that what way would be most appropriate. That meant she needed to choose her methods, which Lizzie found rather pleasant. As nice as it might be to remove her directly, Lizzie decided that it would be best to remove her with poison. While it wouldn't be effortless to gather the necessary supplies without arousing suspicion, she had access to many resources on campus. It wouldn't be hard, not at all. Lizzie still made sure to do everything right, tailing the girl over several days to learn her schedule and determine potential problems. She was shockingly casual about leaving drinks laying around her dorm room, so the only issue was getting in and out unseen. She's just going to poison her. What? That's boring. When the day finally came, it was disappointingly easy. Lizzie was so happy to hear the news that it was easy to pretend to be upset. Everything was perfect now. But when she got home, she found John sitting on the couch with a somber expression on his face. Lizzie rushed up to him immediately. John, what's wrong? Did you hear about the girl who died? Yes, I don't really care about her, but I can pretend to be sad. Don't worry. She said it lightly, trying to draw a smile for him. John remained so somber. Lizzie, do you still get the urge to kill people? You know I do, but you don't think I would actually kill someone, do you? Especially not an innocent girl. That's good. I really do love the way you are, but sometimes I worry that Please don't worry, John. Everything is fine now. We're safe. There's no need to kill anyone. I guess I'm just being paranoid. There was a smile she wanted from him. Lizzie happily went to embrace him, gripping him as tightly as she could. Yeah, that's not a smile of, like, contempt. That's like a smile of horror or horrified or something. It had been true. There was no more need to kill anyone. The threat was gone and she was at peace again, and John wouldn't notice anything, and she could love him forever. Now there was nothing left to do but make happy college memories. Wait, what? That's it? That's it? What? Are you serious? What? No. No. My Halloween costume, you know what? A lot of my friends are going as vampires, apparently, because we're having a little Halloween party this Saturday. So I'm probably going as a vampire-ish person thing. So I don't know, maybe that. But yeah, that's absurd. I haven't checked my mailbox yet, so I will, Edison, probably this week, Saturday. Yeah, okay, so first of all, there's problems with this game. we actually didn't get to feed her our own finger, so that's effed up. That's not cool, man. I wanted to see that. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't steal that because I'm gonna get demonetized. But yeah, right. Every Tokyo Ghoul ending ever. Oof. Okay, so I guess that's it? Question mark? I think that's just one of the endings. I'm pretty sure all those options we had before was like one of the other multiple endings. But if you guys know if there's more to this than that, then I don't know. Just shoot me a message or something. I have no idea. There's more. Yeah, Creeper says there's more. So I'm assuming there's more. But I'm just gonna end it right here because this is a good place for me to end the stream real quick. But if you guys want me to do a Q&A thing, then by all means, please write in the comments or in the chat room that you want a quick Q&A, and I'll answer some of your guys' questions. Otherwise, I'm probably just gonna end the stream. I need to finish my sandwich anyways. So if you guys got a Q&A thing, go. You can ask me as many questions as you want. Okay. Creeper says he wants a Q&A. Who else wants a Q&A? Edison Kelly asks, can I send you a business card from a farm from upstate New York? Yeah, dude, that'd be pretty sick. I'm always up for any gifts you might send me, man. I really appreciate them. Alright, guys, so we're doing a quick Q&A. I don't know how long it's going to be off, but yeah, just type in your question you want me to answer, and I'll answer them. So... it's hard to smash a promo code for 15%. What? Okay. What's your favorite anime? Oof. That's hard because that's like asking who's your favorite child out of all the children you have. But if I would have to say what's my favorite anime currently that I'm watching, I'd probably go with Overlord. If you guys haven't seen Overlord, I highly suggest you watch it. I think next week is the last episode of season 3, so that's kind of sad, but so hyped because it's going to be a really good episode. I'm hopefully season 4 is a thing. I'm pretty sure it is because Overlord's just too awesome of a show not to have season 4, but you know, that's my thing. What was your first Yandere thing? That would have to be my Yandere Stories episode 1. Which I made it back in 2015, which is crazy because that was like 3 years ago, and I'm like, wow, that's a long time ago, even though it didn't feel like it was a long time ago. Wow, I just realized I'm getting old. I'm getting old. I'm not happy about that. When will you play with fans? Depends. When it comes to like PlayStation 4 games, I would have to get PlayStation Plus, which sucks, but so that's kind of out of the question. I don't really have a lot of online PlayStation 4 games. As far as PC goes, I mean, if the person has like Overwatch or something like that, I'd be totally down to play. Or usually I would play party games with everybody on these live streams, which like Jackbox Party Pack and stuff like that, which would be pretty fun. I did live stream that like 2 weeks ago, which was pretty fun. So probably eventually. Do you have any animals? If so, what kind of and what are their names? No, I don't have any animals. I used to have a cat. I called the cat Dee Dee. I don't know why. I think Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory because it was pretty feisty. So yeah, but not anymore. I had to let it go because I couldn't take care of it because of college and stuff at the time, so that kind of sucked. I kind of want a cat again, but I'm more leaning towards a pug when I get my own apartment or something like that, so we'll see where that goes. How is progress going on part 2 of your Yandere story? Part 2... Oof, I don't know. I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to put together how I would, you know, entwine the story all the way to the beginning on how everything should go and stuff like that. So I'm still trying to get the whole concept together, because I want to make something fresh. I don't want to sound like it's repetitive of any sort, because that would suck. But I do have another idea for like episode 12, which is pretty interesting. So hopefully that is pretty cool. It's like a fourth wall break kind of episode, so it's gonna be pretty lit. That's the season finale, but we'll see. Yeah, so part 2 is in progress. That's all I can tell you. I got till my 40s to be considered old. Yeah, that's like another 16 years from now, probably. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. My thoughts on My Hero Academia? The show is pretty good. Actually, it's really good. It's really fun to watch. I can't wait till they get to some parts in the manga, because I did read the manga and I'm like way ahead of the anime right now. So it's pretty interesting how they put fillers in there, which is pretty interesting because it fleshes out the character more than in the manga, and you see more interactions between different characters and stuff that you wouldn't normally see in the you know, in the manga. So that's pretty cool. I like My Hero Academia. It's the opening songs are really good. Think if you ordered online, we just send it to your PO box. Yeah, I mean, if you put your PO box, if you ordered something online, it would send it to your PO box. So yeah. One last question before I leave. What is my favorite type of coffee? Oof, I haven't had a lot of variety of coffees yet. So that one's a pretty toughy question to answer. When I drink coffee, I usually just put normal coffee with milk and just stir it. I don't add any sugar to my coffee because I feel like adding sugar in if you're gonna eat like a treat or like a donut or something like that, I don't know, like a coffee cake or something, like the sugar should be the coffee cake and not in the coffee. So that's why I don't add coffee or sugar in my coffee. So, but I just blend the coffee itself with milk and that's it. It's pretty good in my opinion, even though it kind of tastes better, but I got used to the bitterness of the taste, so I'm okay with it now. And One Piece or Dragon Ball? I have to go with Dragon Ball because One Piece I've seen a little bit. I haven't seen the whole show. I stopped at episode 25, which I know people are like, oh dude, you have to finish the whole thing, but you know, it's whatever. If I ordered from the farm I mentioned, would you ask them to ship it to your PO box? I don't know, man. Depends on what they have, so that's a big iffy. But yeah, thanks guys for watching my live stream. I don't know if I'm gonna continue this because since we reached the ending of the game, I guess, if you want to call it an ending, I don't know what to call it, ending B or ending C or something like that, I don't know. But hopefully you guys enjoy this. Let's see. I'm gonna try to play a party game next week, see where that goes. If not, you know, let's see what I can find as a game that would be fun and interesting to do. So yeah, if you have any suggestions as to what game I should play, just leave it in the comment section below when this video, you know, processes and uploads itself and stuff. But yeah, other than that, thanks for coming, guys. I really appreciate you and everything you do. And hope to see you in the next live stream. So see ya, and happy Halloween if I don't live stream ever again. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but sure. See you guys. Peace.